Welcome to the ADAverse, the Australian business community podcast for all things automation, data and AI.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the ADAverse podcast, your hub for all things automation, data, and AI. In today's episode, we go inside the automation journey of a values-led health insurer that's proving just how far curiosity and commitment can take you. So joining me today is Maggie Herceg, Chief Operations Officer and AI Lead at Westfund, to share how they started with a single use case and are now doubling down on automation and AI agents across the organization. From processing 225 claims in 19 minutes to launching automation across 5 different service types, Maggie and her team are a brilliant example of what we call a frontier firm. Organizations that are redefining how work gets done by combining the power of robots, AI agents, and people. So let's explore what it takes to turn a small pilot into a scaled transformation right here in the ADAverse. So Maggie, first up, welcome to the ADAverse podcast.
Thanks for having me, Shaun.
Yeah, it's great to have you on the show. And let's start off by getting to know the person behind the transformation. So Maggie, start off by telling us what's your current role at Westfund and how would you describe your leadership mission?
Thanks for having me, Shaun. My current role at Westfund Health Insurance is Chief Operations Officer and AI Lead. I will describe my leadership mission as wanting to empower our people and align people and capability to be able to drive our strategy and create a healthier community by delivering exceptional customer experiences and member experiences.
Yeah, brilliant. And Maggie, I know you've had quite an interesting career journey, right? So just for the audience, give us a quick snapshot of your career journey. I know you started from comms and then into change and then into tech leadership. So give us a few more details behind that.
Sure. So spent 16 years in financial services in banking, and I started there in operations. Worked anywhere through operational processes through to contact center, moved into change management and project management, and then moved into a lot of strategic projects as well. So part of my background included RPA, so robotic process automation, and being able to tinker with that in banking. And I found a lot of value in that, being able to, deliver more value for the organisation, but also employee experience and for the customers.
Yeah, excellent. And such a nice kind of career journey that's led you to today. But let's go back. Let's talk about the why, right? So what originally led you to explore automation at Westfund?
It's a good question. So I think when I first started here, we had a multitude of different projects, and being able to spend a couple of years in delivery really gave me a good sense of operations, how we're delivering value to our members, and also the different capabilities that we had across the business. And a lot of questions being asked across the business around where are the current pain points, how do we get value to our members much quicker? And how do we also provide different opportunities to people across the organisation who might have been here for a while? And I guess looking at certain parts of operations and processes, we looked at the opportunities, and there's quite a bit of opportunity there to be able to start delivering more value and start transforming the way that we operate.
I guess often people get stuck in the rut that we've always done it this way, so why should we change? So were there any problems, or what was the catalyst that started to make you think we just can't carry on doing this the old way?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think our strategy is definitely key, looking at different markets, looking at your growth strategy, but also value, being able to deliver value to our members and moving more from just a claims payer to more of a health provider for our members. And how do you start shifting some of the capabilities across the business and create capacity to do that and offer different opportunities to staff as well? So I think the catalyst really was to say we need to operate differently for us to start shifting the focus to being a health provider, not just a claim payer. So, we're really determined to do that. And I think the team in the beginning, I think there was a bit hesitant to look at automation, but I think providing that wider story around the why to the team really was empowering for everybody. I think really looking at the member value, looking at how we start shifting our focus from just processing more widgets to be able to give, more opportunity for staff to be able to provide and directly impact member value in a different way.
Yeah, Maggie, and tell me a little bit about why you believe that this was a capability that was worth investing in.
From my previous experience working on robotic process automation, I saw the value it could bring into process transformation. So one thing that we looked at before we picked a unique process, I guess, or a process candidate, I'll call it. We went through and ensured everything was mapped, and we looked at our pain points and how we actually measuring our process at the moment. So the vision that I've had for that team and for our members as well is to reduce the time to pay. So we really started tackling some of those pain points, and we do get a lot of peaks and troughs throughout the year. We typically have 2 really peak periods of high volume, and that would be around end of financial year and more towards that Christmas timeframe. So rather than just throwing more resources at it, we had to look at it and go, well, you're starting to burn people out as well. They're working longer hours, and we don't want that for our people either. So we looked at how can we solve this in a different way, and knowing what RPA can deliver, it made sense to get some seed funding and start testing it to see how could the solution work and could it actually deliver value for our members and our employees, ultimately reducing the time to pay. Because when members are getting health insurance and you go and use your extras claim, you want to be able to get that returned sooner, your claim paid as quickly as possible, and that's value coming back to our members.
I love the concept of seed funding internally inside your business to get kind of started. And when you started on your journey, you started pretty small, right? So you started with automation and pharmacy claims, which obviously had high volume and complexity. So what was the reason behind choosing that specific claim type as the pilot program?
It's interesting. Looking back at it, we may have started with a different one, but then the team was really determined, our project team was really determined to tackle the toughest one up front. That is our highest volume. So we started with, let's look at conceptually, if we took the toughest claim type, how could that work for the rest of the claim types as well? And the team wanted to take on a challenge. So we just looked at the highest volume type of claim that we had to get the greatest impact. So that really was the first one, but also the amount of touch points that process had, the amount of keystrokes and rekeying, external websites that we needed to check, and there's just so much data that needed to be rekeyed. And we thought if we could solve that problem, then it just opens up the door for the rest of the claim types that we have, or potentially other processes across the organisation.
Yeah. And obviously going through that journey, right, you would have learned many, many things, right? Especially starting with kind of one of the more complex claim types and pharmacy claims. So what worked well? What didn't work so well in those early days when you got started?
Yeah, well, I've always said if you want to learn anything about your process, try to automate it. And boy, did we. We learned a lot about the way that information comes in. So if you're getting poor quality coming in, and when I say that, when a photo of a claim is taken at the start of the process, we learned that images were getting reprocessed, so then we needed to tackle that issue as well. We learned lots about how the flow works through the various systems and how things are connected. And we did need to start and stop a few times to really hone in on some of the, some of the pain points that we didn't know that were there. So we definitely learned a lot, but it also emboldened our project team and our staff, because they also came along for the journey and learned a lot more about the process so that we could, get momentum for the future claim types. I think it was a learning experience for everybody, overlaying another piece of technology as well. We learnt more around how we might release things in the future and even our internal release processes and going through our our change release processes. So it was a really good opportunity to, I guess, question the way we've done things in the past and set ourselves up for future success. So there was a lot of pain, I would say, in that first implementation, more so because it was a learning journey. But when everyone came out of the end of it and the project team came out of the end of it, it was like we're actually glad we tackled the first one, which was the hardest one to tackle. But we also learned a lot about, like I said, the quality that comes in. The quality that comes in and how can we start communicating to members and providers as well for, how we might need to increase and what we need to do to get better quality in.
Yeah. Brilliant lessons learned along the journey, right? And obviously that success gave you confidence to expand into other services like massage and then physio, acupuncture, and even Chinese herbalism, right? And I know you were very kind to share a quote with me from your team when you put some of these kind of processes live. The team came to you and said, "This is fantastic. We actually don't know what to do with ourselves." So it's a great quote and just shows you the power of automation. But when did you really start to feel the value in the business of your automation program?
So partway through the program, we needed to change the way, as I said, we learned a lot about how our process and system worked. We needed to change the way and rethink the way that a claim might get processed from when it comes into the team. So when we shifted the workload for RPA to be able to work a bit differently, we really picked up the value, and the team also felt a sense of relief because you've almost got another co-worker doing it, working alongside you. So I think for the team, they really felt that value when they saw the volume start going down, and they've also been able to shift their focus and work on, I'll call them widgets or, claims that are a bit more complex, and spend more time on those ones and actually reduce the time to pay on them because you've got the bot working on the higher volume and the ones that are a bit less, I would say, straight through or less complex. So even getting that feedback from the team to say, wow, this is really changing the way that we're working and we can work with it, has actually shown a lot of value. So that's where we were hoping to get to. And I think bringing the team along for that journey and taking them through what that process looks like. We made sure that we had change management. We had a change manager assigned to this program. We had the team involved from day one. And that was really, really valuable. So even hearing it from them and going, wow, I don't know what to do with myself. And it was like, actually, we can spend more time now training you on different claim types. So giving that opportunity for further career development has been really, I think, satisfying for everybody to be able to provide that opportunity.
Yeah, it's amazing to see from the outside. And I've been fortunate to see many automation programs. And I love it when the adoption starts to come in, people start to referring to their digital colleague by name. They start to kind of get removed from the tedious, mundane, yet important and repetitive work and get to focus on kind of that higher value work. And it's an amazing kind of thing to watch unfold in different organizations. So really, really nice to see that inside your business. And then as you scaled that up, like what did that look like from a technical perspective, from a cultural perspective, operationally? Tell us a little bit about what scaling up looked like.
Yeah. So technically, I don't think we've ever worked better together than this program of work has been a really good example of collaboration across the organisation. I mean, technically, ensuring security, ensuring that the bot is doing exactly what a human would do through the process, being able to implement this alongside our existing, I would call it it's almost like a CRM, our existing claims management system. So it was an interesting process to go through, and we've had to work with external providers as well. So I think technically the team's definitely learned a lot. We've learned a lot more about how all the systems are connected together. And when we do need to make a change, that it's a lot more smoother than what it previously was. So definitely working together much better technically. It's also given the team an opportunity to learn about automation. Part of our solution includes computer vision and open AI. So having exposure to that and having exposure to the latest technology is pretty cool. So they're very excited about that. I think culturally, the team have been, again, being able to be part of this program from the very beginning and being really involved in that in the process. And we've had to make changes along the way. We've absolutely had to make changes and adjust as we've gone through it. Being part of that solutioning when the team's at the front line, they're processing every day. That's really been a positive experience for them. So it's been fantastic. I think operationally, it's given a lot more visibility across the process. I think how we reported things in the past and how we report them now is different. We've got a lot more visibility on touch points across the process, and that's something that we learnt throughout this program. And it's been really satisfying for me, being able to look across the organisation and claims in particular. One thing that can be challenging is looking at your workforce planning and do we have enough people to be able to cover our peaks and troughs? Now we can also look at scaling up in the space of the bot rather than having to scale up. And we can actually give people opportunity in other parts of the organisation, which we have been able to do. So I think it's been a positive experience and it's become very BAU now, which is great. We're a year in. And I'm keen to see what happens in the future.
So exciting, right? And it's just so nice to start off with that small kind of pilot program and then see it evolve and then get to where you guys are at the moment, where the team is fully on board. They're seeing the value in it. They're being able to lift themselves up into different areas of the business, different roles, and all of those wonderful things. But let's dig into actually what's been delivered so far. So how many claims roughly are now automated on a daily basis? And do you have any kind of translation into how much time that's actually saving you and the team?
Mm-hmm. So at the moment, we're sitting at 50% and we are looking to get to 79% automation in terms of the scope. A milestone moment that we have discussed is, 225 claims processed in 19 minutes. That was quite extraordinary. And being able to get to that type of milestone, I guess really exciting for the team. How does that translate into time saved? How we measure things is a bit different to how we may have measured it in the past. We look at time to pay rather than time saved. So in the past, it would have been 4 days to get a claim paid. And now we're looking at, for the claims that are in scope, we're looking at same day. So that's a huge difference for our members and a different type of service proposition, and also being able to get value back to our members on the same day is amazing. In the future, where would that go? I would love that to be, instant, but we don't know what that looks like at the moment. But right now we know that we can get a large volume of our claims for our extras claims through to same day processing and same day payment.
Wow. I mean, some amazing stats, right? Firstly, I love that it's all focused on the member, right? So it's all about the customer experience, and going from 4 days to same day and potentially instant in the future would be an absolutely amazing way to kind of use automation to benefit your customers and your members. So that's really, really good, right? Now, how about other ways that you measure performance? Like, obviously, you focus on the member. Like, do you measure accuracy, staff hours, turnaround time? Like, are those some sub measures that you might use inside the business as well?
So one thing that we do measure is turnaround time. And turnaround time in the past would have been, as I said before, at least 4 days. But with the bot, in terms of turnaround time, I mean, 225 claims processed in 19 minutes. When the bot runs, and it's scheduled to run throughout the day, that'll get processed, within minutes. So, and that's quite a large volume as well. So if we're where we may have had one operator that could process about 100 claims or 120 claims in a day, depending, you're looking at getting double that volume in the space of 20 minutes, which is phenomenal. And staff hours as well. In the past, where we've had high volumes, we've had to ask the team to do additional hours or overtime that could lead to burnout, and that's not something that we want for our people. And accuracy, I'd say, which is interesting once you start automating, the business rules that you would rely on for a human to apply, you can apply that and hard code that for a bot. So it's actually working within the business rules that you have if it's not already built into your system. And as you would know, that there's so many permutations as well. But if you're able to provide that to a bot, your accuracy starts increasing because you're not relying on the human eye. So that's something that we need to make sure that it's accurate to avoid rework. Because the other thing that we don't measure at the moment, which, we will get there, is turnaround time plus rework. So if something was inaccurate and then you've got to come back and adjust it, that's a rework. And that's something that, could have been avoided. So throughout this process, we've been able to really even go back and re-engineer our processes and make sure all those business rules are really, really clear. So we're able to pick that up also and give it to the bot.
Yeah, as you said, some phenomenal numbers there and just really, really good to hear that story. Now, it comes back down to the people, right? So let's talk about the employees and the people and the employee experience. Have you seen a shift in employee experience or feedback from the people who used to have to do these tasks manually?
It's interesting. We recently had our staff conference and I did have a panel to talk about claims automation. And the team leader from that area was, telling the audience that in the beginning the staff were hesitant, a little bit unsure about what that would look like for them and their roles. And we have made it clear along the way that this is to complement their work. It would be exactly the same as what they would be doing, but also give them time back to do other things and focus on even reskilling in the future. The feedback has really shifted, and the more the team has become involved even in testing and throughout this process, it's very positive. It's like, oh, well, it's a bit different to what I expected, but we're working with it. And they are very much part of the process because they are still the human in the loop. So where a claim goes through an exception process, they are absolutely checking it. There's always a human in the loop.
Yeah.
So for them, it's been a positive experience because, they can come in and not feel like they're constantly having to get on top of, we call it a bucket, but they don't have to keep getting on top of the bucket. They look at it and go, okay, that's achievable now. So we're always going to have volume coming through, which is great, which means our members are claiming and using their cover. I think for the team, though, to be able to go, okay, well, we can respond same day or we can, get through that volume, or we know that when the peaks are coming, we're also going to have assistance through the bot. That's been really positive. So I think they're in a very different space and it's been positive.
And I love that concept of that infinitely scalable workforce, right? So as you go through the peaks and troughs, and obviously you mentioned like end of year and end of financial year, big kind of peaks for you, you can actually scale up using that digital workforce and complement your team and make sure that they can handle those workloads. So that's really, really nice to hear. Now, your program's obviously been really successful to date, right? So talk to me a little bit about the business case now for continued investment and where you go to from here.
Sure. Thank you, Shaun. So continued investment, I think, because we've seen the positive output of RPA throughout the ancillary claim process. We've been very fortunate. Our board sees continued investment in that space. It's absolutely part of our strategy. So we absolutely have continued investment, and we're looking at other parts of our operational process that is really critical for member value. So we're really focusing on the higher value processes and that are very repetitive. And we've got certain criteria for those process candidates. So we're currently scanning the business for those types of opportunities. So the results speak for themselves across our business, and our board and our executive leadership team feel that it's really important that we stay the course so that we're able to provide that value for our members.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I spend a lot of time with boards and executive leadership teams talking about automation, data, and AI, and how companies can obviously adopt them. I will certainly use your example and your use case as a great one to tell people start small, get some wins on the board, expand the program, bring the people along for the journey, because it is a beautiful, beautiful example of how you can get success with automation, data, and AI across your business. Okay, well, in the ADAverse, we talk a lot about the concept of a frontier firm, right? And a frontier firm is a firm that's redefining how work gets done using automation, AI, and human collaboration. And obviously, Westfund's certainly in that specific category. So let's talk a little bit about AI agents. Like, how are you thinking about AI agents at this stage of the journey? No.
So AI agents are a bit of a different use case for us at Westfund. We're looking at where we might be able to tackle different business problems at the moment, where we have systems that are a bit more complicated, or where we might need to use an agent to be able to extract information from one system to another. We're also looking at capabilities. So I think you've really got to start with your business architecture and look at your capabilities across the organization, and look at where contextually an AI agent might be able to assist you to get things done quicker. So things like supplier governance, that's a good use case. We're looking at how we can use agents across contact center. Again, that's more of a future state. And even inquiries, we certainly get a lot of inquiries. So, looking at those use cases. But one thing we've been very, very clear on, just because we can automate it doesn't mean that we should. We pride ourselves on our service. So making sure we've got the human in the loop where every moment does matter for our members. That's one thing we're absolutely focused on. But I think where the AI agents can absolutely help is, again, to do some of that heavy lifting so we can put our focus in the areas that matter in service and delivering more value to members.
So good. And I love that phrase you use there, moments that matter, right? And obviously in any customer service scenario, it's all about the members or your customers, and using these little AI agents to complement your human workforce and do that heavy lifting is, again, a beautiful, beautiful use of them, and really something that I'm excited to see unfold specifically for you and the Westfund team, because I know you've got lots of great ideas in this space.
We do.
Now, tell me, there's obviously been important lessons you've learned about things like change and communication or adoption across your workforce. Is there anything you can share with us in some of those spaces?
Absolutely. So early engagement with the teams and with the workforce where it's going to be impacted. One thing we've been very, very clear on is that this is not being introduced to replace people. It's there to complement. We really looked at the pain points that we had throughout the process, and that was just the sheer amount of work that was coming through, which again is positive. Our members are claiming we love that. We want that to continue. We want to be able to get them value quicker. So the use case for us and the story has always been that we want to be able to provide value for everyone and also improve the employee experience so that they're not feeling burnt out, and to complement the work that they are doing. So early engagement with the team and being very clear on the why. The why has to be absolutely important, and there has to be buy-in for that. We also had our project team, because we are located out at Lithgow, where we have many locations across Queensland and New South Wales. But our claims team here in Lithgow, and we have our project team that's located partially in Sydney and Western Sydney as well, made sure that we had boots on the ground to ensure that the team felt supported and that we adapted things as we needed to, and we were flexible. There has to be some flexibility. The first claim type that we started with was a pilot, and having the team, involved throughout that process. We have some checkpoints along the way and get their feedback, because they are really the experts. They're doing that process every single day. Communicating across the organisation was clear too. I think communicating that from myself and from our CEO, Mark, was important. And having it part of our strategies to ensure that, teams are also aware that this is something that we find that's really important for the organisation, is important for employees to be part of. So I think what's happened now is that we've got people coming with ideas and saying, hey, we could automate this, we could automate that, and even for the team to be able, the claims team to be able to say, I can actually come up for air now, and seeing the value. So we've shifted really from, I think there was a bit of fear in the beginning, now to we're really embracing it, and we can see other use cases so that we can focus on the more complex claim types. So having that use case across the organisation, we've got people now asking, how do I get something automated? So we've got a lineup of people wanting to really start looking at their processes, which is really exciting, really exciting.
Very exciting indeed, right? And again, I always tell people it's all about the people, and you need to bring your people along for the journey. But once you do that and you communicate well and you talk through the changes, and then it's not about replacing people, it's about complementing them, then you start to see what you guys are seeing. And that's that flywheel going, where people are coming to you to say, great, well, there's these tedious, mundane, repetitive things that we're doing.
Yeah.
How can we make them better? How can we use automation, data, AI to obviously supercharge your business operations? So that is brilliant to see.
It is, and I will add one more thing though, Shaun, because automation also introduces a different type of capability and skill set into the organisation. So it's actually enabled teams in our tech space, and it's enabled teams even in our quality assurance space. So their work has also shifted as well. So they will look at, they'll more QA the bot to ensure the bot is doing the right thing, rather than, going through and QAing widgets and looking at the screen again. So that's changed for them. And then we've also introduced a whole other technical skill set across the teams, and knowing how to interact. Also, even with yourselves at Takala, it's been wonderful for the team to be able to learn how to work with a supplier. So it's been really exciting for everybody.
Oh, yeah. All right, Maggie. So obviously we've spoken about all the good things in your automation program, but obviously looking back, there may be some hard things. Like, what do you believe was the hardest part of this journey that other people may underestimate?
Okay, so getting the right training data, or getting enough training data. I would say, because we chose the hardest use case first, which was a challenge, getting enough training data so that we could get success and get a smooth ride from the beginning. I think looking back at it, we would have approached that a little bit differently. But I think data is really critical in ensuring, you've got good input in means good input out. If you've got rubbish in, you've got rubbish out. But I also think, had we expanded the amount of training data we had provided, it would have been smoother. But we learned that lesson. We've gone back and addressed that now. But that was definitely a key point for us.
Yeah. I often say to people, it is all about the data, right? So as we know, if you've got your data in spick and span shape, obviously there's lots of great automations and training we can do on top of that data. Data is the fuel that powers AI. So often it is all about the data. And that's a really, really good call out and a golden nugget for people out there that may be looking to get started on their journey. So, Maggie, if someone's just starting on their automation journey, what's one piece of advice you could give them to help get them moving?
Get some seed funding and get a pilot. Find a pain point that you believe will provide value soon, and get testing. Get the business case, get it in there, and just start using it.
Yeah, it's so critical, right? I think lots of people go into analysis paralysis over some of this stuff. Like, the most critical thing is to get started on the journey. Obviously, do that in a responsible and a strategic way, minimize the impact on that, learn from it, and then evolve from there. But most important is to get started on the journey. All right. So, Maggie, what's next for you and your team? Have you got any bold ideas on the roadmap of what might be coming next?
I do. I have many, as you would know, Shaun. How many random calls have you received from me about, hey, I've got this idea. What do you think? I won't share them all, but I definitely have a few key pain points still in the claim space that I believe that we could absolutely tackle and shift the focus to being more strategic around how we deliver value in our claim space. we absolutely have many different use cases. So I'm looking forward to the next couple of months and dare say the next couple of years so that we can continue our automation journey, but also expand it to look at further operational processes. So very keen to stay on the path that we're on.
Well, I look forward to getting you back on the ADAverse podcast in the next few months, or maybe in the next couple of years, just to kind of get an update on where you guys are at. And it's been stellar working with you and the team, and we're excited to see what is next.
It's been great.
Thank you. Maggie, it's been great to have you and get your amazing insights and share your journey. So thank you. I know the community really appreciates that. So thank you for your time. But it wouldn't be an ADAverse podcast unless I finished off with what I call the ADAverse hot seat, which is where I get to fire rapid questions at you and I get to put you on the spot a little bit. So are you ready to get started on the ADAverse hot seat?
Absolutely.
Awesome. First up, Maggie, what did you want to be when you grew up?
A lawyer.
Wow. Okay, good. And what took you away from that dream? Did life take you in a different path? Have you regretted it since then? Tell us a bit about that.
I actually think it just took me on a different path and probably the years of study. But yeah, put me off. But now I'm here now, so.
Not going anywhere and doing an amazing job. So yeah, keep going. Keep going. Alrighty, next up, what's something on your bucket list that you have already managed to tick off?
Oh, something on my bucket list that I've already done. I'd say travel through Asia. That was one thing I really wanted to do. So did that about 17 years ago. So yeah, that's already done.
Brilliant. I'm a big travel fan myself and spent some time traveling. So yeah, that's always something on my bucket list. And let me ask the opposite of that. So what's something that you still have on your bucket list that you want to check off?
I'd love to learn to play the piano.
This is very funny, but I also have a thing on my bucket list to learn to play the piano. My daughter started to play the piano and then stopped, and I've always wanted to just have people around for a dinner party and suddenly just crank out some tunes on the piano. So
mine's done the same. She's learned how to play and now she's stopped.
So maybe Maggie, you and I will be playing in the dueling piano bar and singing away.
Possibly.
Alrighty, next up, if you could only recommend one book to our audience, what would it be and why?
Well, there's one book, I'll say an audiobook, How to Make the World Add Up by Tim Harford. It's all about data and how to use data, how to interrogate data. I found that so valuable and I would definitely recommend that.
It's a great book, and I often say it's all about the data, so definitely one for the audience to check out.
Okay.
And Maggie, lastly, how do you want to be remembered?
I think I'd like to be remembered as someone who challenged the way that we always did things here and challenged the status quo and use the technology to help empower people.
Brilliant. What a way to finish, right? And I think you're well on that journey now with all the wonderful kind of insights you've shared with the audience today. So yeah, looking forward to following your journey and seeing what else will evolve and unfold at Westfund. So Maggie, thank you once again for your time today and for sharing your story. Now, just as a final parting thought, if you could leave our listeners with one thing, what would it be?
Don't wait, get started.
Beautiful. I always say it's no longer about if you're going to get started, but rather when, and when should be today. Maggie, with that, we'll wrap it up for today. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to have a chat, Shaun.
Awesome. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us on the ADAverse podcast. If this episode sparked ideas or gave you hope about what's possible with robots, AI agents, and people, don't keep it to yourself. Listen, subscribe, and join us at adaverse.com.au to be part of the Frontier Firm future. Speak soon.
Be part of the community by visiting adaverse.com.au. See you in the ADAverse.